Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny GT and this is my channel, Your Mindful Bestie. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the topic antidepressants. Antidepressants can be such a taboo topic. And I know when I started them, came off them, went back on them, throughout my journey of being on antidepressants, I was absolutely scouring the internet to find all I could about it. I'm the type of person that likes to learn everything about something. I will go ham, and I'll put the abbreviation for ham up here. I like to go absolutely hard on all bits of knowledge surrounding that thing. So what I'm going to do in this video today is like a question and answer video for my experiences with mental health. So I'm going to put the questions up as we go. I'm going to ask myself the questions. I've written the questions myself. But if you are watching this video and you have more questions, maybe I'll do like a part 2. But these are sort of the questions that I was looking on Google for when I first started taking antidepressants. The first question that I'm going to start with is, what am I on? So I am on citalopram, which I have been on for, well, since 2019. I'm filming this in 2024. I had to Google this and say this again and again because I just trip over my words all the time. It is a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. So basically what that does for me and anybody that takes SSRIs is it just releases serotonin into your brain, but it also enables the serotonin to stay. So it kind of builds like a barrier in the brain to be able to keep the serotonin in, because a lot of the experiences with anxiety that I have is lack of serotonin, which also causes a lot of depressive symptoms as well. So I, at the moment, am taking 20 milligrams, so it goes up to a max of 40 milligrams. I started on 10, went up to 20. Now, I will come on to this as another Q&A. I have been on and off a few times, and every time I've always gone different doses. And I tend to change dose throughout my time and life, depending on winter, summer, if there's something particularly stressful. So I have been up to 30 before. At the minute I'm on 20, and even like right now there's things day to day that I think, okay, maybe I should go up to 30. So I might be having that conversation with the doctor, but it varies depending on where you're at in your life, really. So what is my mental health diagnosis? I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder in 2019. And I had no idea what mental health was. I have done other videos on mental health and my anxiety disorder and how that has affected me over the years that I've had it. And I've obviously had it for a long time as well, but only really came to the surface in 2019 when I turned like 26. So I started taking, so I was given the antidepressants to be able to function day to day and actually be able to do normal things like eat, like go outside and like actually live a normal life. That's why I started taking the antidepressants. So I touched on this already, but what dose am I on? I'm currently on 20 milligrams of citalopram, 2024. I have been up to 30 in the past, and I have been down at 10, and then I was at 10 every other day, which is times when I decided to come off them, because you kind of think like, what's the point at that point? That was for me anyway, that's how I felt. So how long have I been on them? I've been on them since 2019, so that's like 5-6 years now. 2019. So I just counted up on my fingers. I have been on them for 5 years. I have come off them a few times, so I'll talk about that in a moment. What side effects did I have starting them? When I started them, I had horrific side effects. I had upset stomach, I had blurry vision. There is screaming outside my house. Let me just shut the window. So the side effects I had, starting again, I had upset stomach, I had lack of appetite, I had lack of libido and sex drive, I'm just remembering them all. I had literally everything. Dizzy. Honestly, it was really hard to function. I just had such bad side effects. And so that was the first time I went on them. The side effects, I literally had all of them. They were just as bad as the anxiety itself. The side effects I have on them after being on them for a while is literally zero. I don't feel like I have any side effects at all once they settled in my body, which is generally around 6 weeks. The third time I went on them, I had the same side effects that I had in the very beginning. I had them all, but they lessened a lot quicker. So whilst I had been off them for 3 months, by the third time I went back on them, I still had the side effects, but they were nowhere near severe as the first time. And I also knew what was coming as well. I knew what side effects I would get So it wasn't so scary that third time round, which is when I had another severe mental health episode as well. Do I talk about antidepressants in public? I do, yes, I do, because I don't believe it's something that should be hidden. However, when I first went on them in 2019, I didn't talk about them because just starting them out, I had no idea what I was going through. There is a stigma, like when a doctor, this was through a few consultations that I started to realise that I needed to go on them. I was actually offered them twice and I said no both times. It wasn't until the third time things were getting out of hand that I felt like I needed something to function day to day. But in the beginning, I didn't talk about them in public. I spoke to them. I spoke with my family at the time and my really close friends at the time. And even going to the chemist to pick them up was just like, it just felt humiliating. And it shouldn't. And this is exactly why I'm doing this video, because we should be able to talk about medication that we need. If you needed to go to the chemist to go get cough medicine that was behind the counter, we would do that quite happily. So why did I feel like there was this judgment against me picking up antidepressants, especially at 26 as well? You know, people start antidepressants all different times in their lives. Realised as well, I'm probably not smiling very much in this video because I'm trying to be educational and this coming from like factual evidence of what I've been through. So I will be a little bit more lighthearted and smiley in the rest of this video. Next question is, do I disclose them with places that I work? Yes, I do. If I am asked what medication I am on, whether that's in a workplace, if I'm going for a massage, or if somebody needs to know, yes, I disclose them. Why? For me, it's really important that I have transparency with that person that I am either providing service to or they're providing service to me. Because if there was any reaction, whether it is behaviour, emotional or allergic reaction, they're aware, and I am also aware as well, and I can talk freely about, with antidepressants, it then brings on the topic of my anxiety, like things make me anxious, and it makes me feel more comfortable to be able to address the anxiety. And actually, when I do, people know exactly what it is. When I say citalopram, I've only ever had one person ask me what that is. Everybody knows what that is, and usually the response I get is, my friend is on that and they had a really hard time, which is why they needed to go on it. And then they kind of really have some empathy and sympathy for you at the same time, because it's like, yes, that happened to me too. But for me, I do disclose them. It doesn't mean I go and tell everybody, oh, hey Bob, I'm on antidepressants, did you know that? No, I don't do that. But I do if I am asked, and also I do if, again, it's something medical that does need to list what medication I take. Did I tell my friends and family that I was starting antidepressants? For me, yes, because I was aware when I'd spoken to the doctors that there would be side effects. So it was really important for me to have support and guidance the way through, because when I started having the side effects the first time around when I started them, it was so scary. It was it does make you feel like it does get worse before it gets better. And I actually will talk about that at the, I'll add it on to the questions I've got as well. So having somebody there that I could offload and say, oh, I'm feeling like this, like thinking it was maybe my health, it was actually the antidepressants. And also I was able to speak to the doctor and say the same thing, I'm feeling this, and they reassured me it is 99% sure it's the side effects of the antidepressants. I only disclosed it to my friends, like my like one or two close friends, the very first time, because I was really embarrassed, which is the wrong thing to say, to talk about starting antidepressants. At 26, you kind of feel like, you know, you've got your whole life ahead of you, and I really felt like I was falling behind. So by talking to other people that I had started these antidepressants felt like a massive step back, even though it wasn't. I was actually getting help to help me move forward in life. When I had my mental health episode, literally not that long ago from when I'm filming this, start of 2024, I did talk to my friends very openly about it. I had built a lot of an awareness about like well-being, that I was this person who did a lot of self-care, looked after myself, was very healthy. You know, I've ended up losing like 2 stone, I quit smoking, all these things. So it was really important for me to be transparent and talk to my friends and let them know that I couldn't actually come and see them. I would be invited places, and my anxiety, when it's really bad, it gives me agoraphobia, which is a fear of leaving the house. So I needed to tell them that, and I needed that understanding, and they were really understanding as well. What I did though is, because it's really hard to reach out in those really hard times, I did say, I will message you when I'm better. Anyway, I am rambling at this point. If you want to find out more about my mental health story, you can go watch, I'll link the video below, but you can go watch that, and it talks a lot about anxiety and me. So why did I need to go on antidepressants in the first place? So I touched on this a little bit in the beginning, but I was starting to experience severe anxiety, and I didn't know what anxiety was. I just kept having these symptoms of this feeling of dread, this feeling of needing to escape, of feeling dizzy, jelly legs, and I couldn't understand what that feeling was. And it got so bad, I thought I was having a serious health problem. I thought I was maybe, something was shutting down in my body. It was crazy. So I went to doctors, and went to doctors 2 or 3 times with the same symptoms, and each time I was progressively getting worse. I was getting more tired, I was looking more gaunt in the face, I was stopping eating, things like that. And it was the first time the first appointment, they suggested going on antidepressants, and they said it takes the edge off the anxiety, because I didn't know it was anxiety, but they said it was. They said it could be anyway. It would take the edge off. And I was like, no, I can do this. I'm sure I'll get better. Then things started to just get worse and worse, went back again. And they were like, do you want to try them again? And I talked about potentially going on them, but I didn't. Instead, they signed me off work, because I was working in a corporate environment at this point. And then the third time I went back, I couldn't even make it out the house into the doctors, and that's when I said, I think I need to start these tablets, because I couldn't even leave the house at that point. So that was why I needed to go on them. And then that was in that moment that I had been diagnosed generalized anxiety disorder, because the symptoms that I was displaying, the inability to function day to day, is very much that of generalized anxiety disorder. How many times have I stopped and then restarted antidepressants? So I am now on my 3rd time of restarting. I had the initial period where I started them. I was on them for a year, maybe 2 years. Decided I wanted to come off them. I did. It didn't go very well, and that was actually during summer, which is always a really good time to come off them. I really struggled, so I had to take more time off work. Went back on them again, and then end of last year, 2023, I had been all year weaning to come off them. I had decided I wanted to come off them again. I came off them in December, and it really was the wrong time. Again, I talk about this in another video, which is the anxiety and me one. And that really was wrong timing. It was in the winter, I was changing careers, I was being made redundant. It was just the wrong time. But in hindsight, I felt it was the right time, because I was only on 10 every other day at that point, and that didn't feel like it was worth taking them. When I came off them, I was looking everywhere over the internet for success stories of antidepressants. I was so desperate to be off them that when I started to dip into a mental health episode, is what I call them, when the anxiety and even depression rears its head, for it means I am unable to function day to day. And what I mean by that is I struggle to get out of bed, struggle to eat, struggle to do day-to-day things. It really stops, it really lessens my quality of life that way. Lost my train of thought. Okay, I'm back. I had to rewatch the video to see where I'd got up to. Success stories. So I was looking all over the internet for success stories for people being off antidepressants and being able to do it. Now, whilst that is out there, that just wasn't possible for me. And this video isn't about how, like, you should be on antidepressants, like you should have them if you don't want them. This is totally a personal choice to you. This is just my experience with antidepressants. And whilst I was desperately trying to come off them, I have now realised that my quality of life is so much better on them. And that's okay. That is okay if there is a tablet that I have to take every day in order to just live. That's okay. I've accepted that. that was the biggest thing I was looking for online as well, was finding that it was okay to do that. And I kind of got that validation from speaking with my stepmom, my doctor, my husband, and then really kind of like going like, and friends as well, and then going inwards and being like, yes, that is okay, because when you weigh up the quality of life on them versus off them, it wasn't worth it in my opinion. Does it get worse before it gets better when starting antidepressants? For me, yeah. I literally cannot say that any other way. It got so much worse. So when I started the antidepressants, I was in a very low place with discovering depression and anxiety and the effects it was having on my body, lack of motivation, unable to sleep, like insomnia, unable to feed myself, unable to leave the house. I couldn't even stand up because I was so dizzy. I felt like I was going to faint all the time. I just literally just survived in my bed. That was all I could do. And you can't think that I didn't think it would get any worse, and it did. It literally times 10 all those symptoms. Just the feeling of lying down and laying there and just, this is my experience, by the way. This doesn't mean this is going to happen to you. This is my experience. But it did get worse for me. And it got worse to the point where I was unsure whether to go on them. But I felt so bad before going on them that I needed something to help me get better. But lying there, existing, surviving, and then feeling all the feelings 10 times was so unbearable. It was unbearable. And I just had to have the continued support of my family to get me through that. And then every single day, bit by bit, it got better. So whilst it gets worse before it gets better, the better out the other end is so worth it. So those are all the questions that I have for today. Thank you so much for sticking around and watching this video. And I hope if you're on antidepressants, if you're starting your journey, or if you've got a friend that is starting them or is on them and you wanted to have a little bit more of education, this is all from my personal experience, but I hope it has helped in some way. If you have any questions at all, pop them down in the comments. I'd love to answer them. I'd love to maybe make a part 2 to this if there's some questions that have gone unanswered. But you can find my channel, follow me for all things to do with mental health, anxiety, and how to stay your happiest, healthiest self. This is why I'm your mindful bestie, because through my mental health experiences, I have really studied and learned and trained in well-being. I am also a trained life coach as well, because I help women step into their self-love era, removing self-doubt and tackling those limiting beliefs. So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like and subscribe, because I release content regularly on here. You can find my other videos on mental health and self-care tips. But until then, have a really good rest of your day, morning, evening, week, and I will see you soon. Namaste.